I don't think that's quite adequate, because as we find out that he's the adversary, we should understand that it's a term used in a legal sense. Not only one opposed to God, but one who is an accuser. An accuser. An adversary in the sense of, as the New Testament word for Satan, the devil, that's diabolos, it means slanderer. So here we have someone who is a slanderer or a false accuser, and this is how he expresses his opposition to God. He expresses opposition to God by slandering, by false accusation. So this is what we derive. Now again, in Job chapter 1, we have the first words inspired in the Bible, in the written text. It's written about 2000 BC. It's 600 full years before the Holy Spirit inspired the book of Genesis. And even though Genesis may go further back, our first view of theology is Satan as an accuser. Now we get to see the expression of his accusation beginning in verse 7. The Lord said to Satan, "Where do you come?" Or from where do you come? And Satan answered the Lord and said, from going to and fro on the earth and from walking back and forth on it. So now a couple of observations here. That the active realm of operations is planet Earth. That Satan's active realm of operations is planet Earth. And that he is very intense in his activity to go to and fro, walking back and forth on it. Do you get the feeling? It's almost like he's searching a grid. He's got this search pattern, and he's going back and forth, and he's observing. Now, we're going to see what or who he observes in a moment, but just understand that this fallen angel, this accuser, this false accuser is operating on planet Earth. When you engage in military operations, you definitely want to set lines. You have lines on either side of you and a line in front of you. And those define your zone of operations. So here we have it, planet Earth. And then we get a focus of the conflict in verse 8. And that's a godly man. The Lord said to Satan, "Have you considered my servant Job, that there's none like him, a blameless and upright man, one who fears God and shuns evil?" So now you understand a little further that this fallen angel, Satan, is involved in a conflict with God over godly people. That would be you. That would be us. But you're kind of in the crosshairs over this. There's nothing I can do about it except teach it, make you understand that godly people are the focus of angelic conflict. Not the sole focus, but it's interesting that we start here with a godly man. The issue of the conflict is an accusation against godly men extended to God himself. And that's verse 9. So Satan answered the Lord and said, "Does Job fear God for nothing? Have you not made a hedge around him, around his household, and around all that he has on every side? You've blessed the work of his hands, and his possessions have increased in the land." The issue of the conflict, the nature of the accusation is that Job is a godly man for the sole reason that you bless him. I have friends, believe it or not, outside this congregation. Your dearest, of course. But I have friends outside this congregation, and they go to a variety of churches. We're friends from way back in the day and so on. And, there are some churches that really teach in this old Jewish way that you're blessed because you're godly. And there may be some truth to that. God does bless godly people.